what happened to me after I went on this diet? I thought Nora's touched on what's happened to people, but I don't like complaining about things I've been to the doctor for about the last 20 years, but the most obvious, but not the most important, is probably that I've dropped about 15 kilos in weight in about 8 months. And if you pick up a 15 kilo drench can and carry it around, you think, that can't be right. It's so heavy. And for a start, that has to make you feel pretty good. In the process of doing that, no extra exercise other than the work I was doing. I think I walked down to the ramp once. So I haven't worn any more joints out or anything like that. Anyway, about 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with osteoarthritis, and it wasn't much of a fun journey, and hasn't been much of a fun journey up until recently. And when I went on this diet, the pain and soreness and stiffness, within about 2 weeks, it was all gone. Just gone. And I thought, wow, this is... So I was hooked pretty quickly. Indigestion, you know, before I'd go out to dinner and have a few wines, and I'd blame the wine, pop a few pills when you got home. Haven't taken a pill since I went on the diet, so indigestion's just disappeared. My feet felt as if they were stiff and sore, and my Achilles tendons were swollen up. We're getting a bit touchy now, aren't we? All those things have come right. I would go for a walk down to the beach. If we were down the beach, I didn't like walking along the beach because it used to hurt so much. So all those Achilles tendons have returned to normal. I now enjoy walking. Another thing that used to happen, you'd be lying in bed at night and you'd pull your leg up and cramp. And you'd be walking around the house for 10 minutes trying to get rid of the cramps. Well, I haven't had a cramp since I went on this diet. I had a blocked tear duct in my eye, and it looked pretty ugly between the time it did anyway. And I couldn't see it, which was pretty good. 2 or 3 months ago, it just disappeared. It wasn't there anymore. And I thought, wow, this has been there for about 6 or 8 years. Another thing we noticed, we were going to Sydney and we'd get out of Gloucester for the proverbial pit stop. And after being in the car only a couple of hours, you drag yourself out of the car, and, you know, that familiar gait of walking across the footpath. It was terrible. Last time, or a couple of times ago, we went down there and we got out, we went to the loo, and we came back, and I said, "Extreme, I noticed something different." And she said, "Yeah, I could walk." And so that's another thing, that's just that stiffness and soreness and is no longer part of the game. If I go and do something different now, which is out of the ordinary, I don't get stiff. My body doesn't. If I'm building in steel posts or something like that, don't you boys listen to that? I don't get stiff and sore. My energy is way up. You know, I was 60 feeling 70 odd, and now I'm sort of 60 feeling 40 odd. And that's a pretty big statement to say. And the other little one I've noticed is that, and this can be argued with a bit, that my mental clarity and concentration has improved. Just moving on a bit, and being a farmer, you think about things maybe a little bit differently, but I was thinking if I went down to the mall in Armidale and collected up 500 people and said I was going to run them up to where the teachers' college was on top of the hill, sent the dog around them, what do you think would happen? We all know what, or most of us know in here, what Barber's poleworm is. I mean, most of the mob would start off, but it wouldn't take long, and there'd be a lot lying down, and a lot would be sitting on chairs, and we'd probably get to the top of the hill and we'd only have 2/3 of the mob left. And if you were a farmer, which a lot of us are, you'd be saying, wow, there is something so wrong, so wrong. And I guess that's just a little analogy I thought of when you walk down the street and you look at people, and I've started doing it now, I just can't help myself. So, just moving on from that, the selling of stock. Now with the omega-3, I just found it amazing. I never knew that grass-fed animals had a good balance of omega-3 against omega-6. I'd never heard of it. And when I've gone to sell stock, I've said to the buyers, you know, this grass-fed beef should be worth a bit more. And they said, what do you mean? Well, I said, it's omega-3. So anyway, it fell off deaf ears, and I guess, you know, selling stock's the disappointment in food retailers, where a lot of cases farmers, and a lot of us are farmers, are sending in a really good product, and by the time they fiddle with it, it's actually doing humans no good. And I guess that takes you around to a full circle where the medical system seems to be barking up the wrong tree. And Nora's book's not the only book that I've read that's saying exactly the same thing. So yeah, it sort of went full circle. And just, if I've got 1 minute, little gems of Nora's books that I picked up on, just little ones that I picked up on. Carbohydrates turn to glucose. I thought that was a little gem, a lot of people wouldn't. The other one was body fat cannot be burned in the presence of insulin. Correct me if I've got it wrong, right?
That's correct.
Grass-fed beef is omega-3. Grain-fed turns to omega-6. Just little things that are really important. Brain is 80% fat, runs on fat, not on sugar. So Alzheimer's and all those sort of things, we say forgetfulness and can't remember things. Another thing that she says, and she hasn't touched on, cancer lives on sugar, not on fat. So, you know, they were just little gems, and she'll talk about some of those. So, no carbs, dash sugar, limit protein, with salad and veggies. I reckon it's great. Thank you.
Oh, wow.